Welcome to Season 3 and Episode 3 of the Smarketing Talk podcast, produced by Landscape Leadership. I am your host, Chad Diller. I'm the Director of Client Success here at Landscape Leadership, and I'm also joined by our CEO and founder, Chris Heiler. If you work for a company in the lawn or landscape industry, you are in the right place. This is where we share our candid thoughts on sales and marketing as it relates to companies just like yours. So thank you for joining us. So, Chris, I know that when we were talking yesterday, you had an exciting event, maybe not normally exciting, but given the current time, it's kind of exciting. You were finally getting your first pandemic haircut, right?
Yeah. After, I don't know what it had been, 2.5 months, 3 months, something like that.
It was getting pretty long.
Yeah. It still is kind of long, even after the haircut.
Yeah, but you were approaching like man bun status. So I think you were,
I will admit, I was using a clip. I was using a clip in my hair for a short time.
we need to get some pictures of that. So, so the haircut went well.
Yeah, it went fine. I had to wear a mask, but I didn't suffocate, so it was fine.
Sure. Well, I'm sure your hairdresser is thrilled to be making some money again, generating some business. You know, it actually reminded me, we were talking about your haircut yesterday. It reminded me of a funny story within our family where my wife went to get her haircut and she texted me, "Hey, are you interested in buying a 5-pound block of cheese?" And I was like, "What?" And she said, "Yeah, I'm here getting my haircut, and Amy wants to know," that's the name of her hairdresser, if we'd be interested in a 5-pound block of cheese." And I thought, okay, well, this is interesting. You know, some of the things that you can buy at a salon, this is never one of the ones that I would have thought of. It just so turns out that
Yeah.
her dad actually is a dairy farmer and makes his own cheese, and so that's how it happened. But it kind of made me laugh a little bit as I was thinking about that coming into the topic for today's podcast, where we're talking about diversifying services and offering more things to your clients, and kind of just made me chuckle a little bit about that.
Hey,
You,
I got a story for you.
okay.
Along those same lines, there's a tailor that I go to here in Austin occasionally, and they had an estate sale Sunday, and I went out to their place. And this might even be stranger than a 5-pound block of cheese. So tell me if you can see this. Okay, so you'll have to describe this to listeners. Okay.
I'll describe it and then maybe you can get a picture of it later and we can put it in the notes.
Yeah. Can you see it? Camera actually working?
Okay, so I'm looking at a stuffed two-headed duck. Is that what I'm seeing?
That's exactly what that is. So that's Donald, and this is Daisy.
What? What? Is this actually real? Like, was this a like mutant duck that they had stuffed?
The story goes that they got it from a taxidermist friend in Australia, and now I have it. And now it sits atop. It sits atop my liquor cabinet.
Wow. For the guy that what do you get for the guy that has everything? There you go, right there.
Two-headed stuffed duck.
Goodness. Well, I'm gonna have to really get creative now on your birthday gift. So that's off the table. It was on my list, and I was like, great. I'm really disappointed now.
I'm actually looking for a stuffed armadillo.
Okay,
So if you could find something.
let's see if I can find a three-headed one of those.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
Well, like I said, today's podcast episode, we're going to be talking a lot about diversification of services, and it kind of reminded me of a conversation that I've had repeatedly with one of our clients, Todd from Rockwater Farm. Just to give you listeners some idea about their company. So they're located in Northern Virginia, and they do a bunch of things. You know, he was a design build guy, went to school for that, and maintenance. And they've been adding like all these different things, these services that they've been providing throughout the years. And I think it was last year, maybe about a year and a half to 2 years ago, he got involved with a pool builder and started selling pools as part of his overall design. And now he's getting a ton of pool work. And so it always kind of prompts this discussion every, I don't know, 6 to 12 months of, should I have a separate pool company, or should it just be part of what we do as the diversification of our services? And we have all kinds of clients that do multiple services, like we have a tree service that got into lawn care and now into pest control, which we'll be hearing from here a little bit later in the podcast. Chris, what's the right move here when a company starts venturing into something, whether it just happens or they plan to do it, should they have that as part of their brand, or should they create a different company?
Oh man, we see this all the time, not just with Todd, but we've probably worked with, I can think of 3 companies right off the top of my head that have done this. I remember one company, one of our first clients, they had 12, I think they had 12 different divisions, and each division had a different brand. Like they tried to brand each division, and each had its own website.
Wow.
And if you remember, Chad, a company we worked with in California for a little bit did the same thing. I think they had maybe five
That's right.
divisions, each with a different brand, and then each with its own website.
Right.
And there's been others. I mean, it's a nightmare. So there's a lot of it is common. And what it's so the technical name for this is a brand extension. And you actually see this all the time in just going to the grocery store. Like consumer products, brand extensions are very popular. That doesn't mean we should be doing it in our industry necessarily, but basically you take the current name, like Rockwater Farm, and you extend it into another brand. So maybe in Todd's case, it would be Rockwater Pools. So he would have the primary brand, Rockwater Farm, and then Rockwater Pools would be this brand extension that focuses on swimming pools, right? Typical justification for this, it's kind of like you just explained. It's, oh, well, we've been building all of these pools lately, and so maybe we should create another brand. So we'll look like a real pool company. That's what I always hear. It's like, well, let's create another brand so we look like a real pool company instead of being perceived as a landscaper who also does pools, because that can be a competitive disadvantage. So that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to make it seem like, oh, well, we're a real pool company. Just look at our name. That's usually why they do it. So the thinking goes, let's not create a completely new identity. Instead, let's leverage the equity we have in our current brand, Rockwater, in Todd's case, and we'll keep the name similar. And they also do this a lot of times because it's cheaper. Extending a brand is cheaper than creating an entirely new brand. So that's the other reason. So that's the rationalization. And really, these companies, they want the best of both worlds, right? They want to maintain their brand recognition by keeping part of the original name, yet they want to look like a different company, like a real pool company. But in reality, it just doesn't work that way. And there's a lot of problems and risks with doing this. The first problem, and we see this a lot, is that a lot of times the brand recognition is not as high as the company owner actually thinks that it is. A lot of times we, as owners, we live in our little glass houses. We kind of overestimate our brand recognition in the market. It's usually not as high as we think it is. So continuing to use a similar name like Rockwater or whatever it is really isn't going to carry as much weight as Todd might think that it would. But the second issue with this, the bigger issue, is that companies in our industry, they don't have giant advertising and marketing budgets to build brand recognition, right? We're not Coca-Cola or Anheuser-Busch. I mean, these are giant consumer brands. That's why you see a lot of brand extensions in that space. They have giant advertising budgets. Think about Anheuser-Busch. I looked this up yesterday on the computer. So they've got Budweiser, right? So Budweiser is the main brand, and then you have Budweiser Select, Bud Light. You've got Bud Light Platinum, Bud Light Lime, Bud Light Seltzer. Those are all brand extensions. And actually, if you look at Bud Light Seltzer, that's a brand extension of a brand extension, right? But they can do that because they have millions of dollars in advertising behind each of those brand extensions. Like we can't do that in our industry. Like Todd has a marketing budget for Rockwater Farm. If he's going to create Rockwater Pools, he's got to come up with a marketing budget for that as well, right? And that's difficult. Just most companies in our industry can't do that. They don't have the money for that. So it's an expensive strategy, especially if you're going to do it effectively. It's very expensive. because it's not like you're just spending money on a new logo or building a new website. You've got to have separate marketing budgets. So it's very difficult, and it can confuse your customers. This is a whole other topic. So I don't want to stray too far, but there's a lot of risks with it. I'm not a big fan. I really haven't seen it work for a company in our industry. I think it just confuses things. So that's kind of where I stand on it.
Well, you had a lot to say about that. I know you have a lot to say about
Get off the
about
rails.
yeah, right. There he goes. I'll try to rein him in, but no, I know you have a lot to say about diversifying services. I would say in the instance of Rockwater Farm, just in case anybody wonders what's happened, like they did not choose to go the brand extension route. And so we started, marketing pools under the landscape design build umbrella of what they do for their clients, and actually been very successful in the last year. I actually think last week, I think Todd told me, yeah, I feel like I get a lead for a pool every day, which is pretty impressive. So we've done some strategic things within the mix of that main brand. I know that you have a lot of things to say about diversification of services. And so without any further ado, here is Chris's hot take on diversifying services.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I thought it would be a good idea to talk about diversification in this episode because, some of you listeners may be actually considering adding new service offerings after this pandemic. Maybe you want to chase some different revenue streams, so this might be top of mind for you. So if you're going to do that, if you want to look at diversifying, you need to have the right strategy if you're going to do this. And like most everything in operating a business, there is a purposeful way of doing something and then also the haphazard way of doing it. So diversification, meaning how you add services, is no different. So I want to give you guys a framework that will help you think about diversification in your business. And first, there's a distinction that we need to make, and that is the difference between vertical diversification and horizontal. So horizontal diversification is the typical strategy you see in the lawn and landscape industry. An example would be a residential design build firm who adds landscape maintenance to their services. Then they add lawn care because a few customers asked for it. Then next thing you know, they start doing commercial landscape maintenance because someone in their peer group told them they should be doing that, right? So they started as a residential design build firm, and now they're doing all of these other things that are somewhat loosely related. Chad, you can probably think of a client right now that I'm describing. We've had a few clients like this.
I'll protect the names of the innocent or
Yes,
the guilty.
right. So that's horizontal diversification. That's really not a purposeful way of doing it. So you're basically offering a breadth of services so you can be everything to everybody. And the problem with that, of course, is that now you look like just another landscape. Right? You're no different than any other full service landscape company in your market. And that's the problem. Now, vertical diversification, in contrast to that, is when you develop a depth of service offerings. And you do that around your core competency. So when I say your core competency, that could be a specialty, a specialization, like maybe it's masonry, maybe it's carpentry, or it could be an expertise. So an expertise like permaculture or arboriculture, sustainability. So core competency, it's a specialty or it's an expertise, right? So this is a much more purposeful approach to adding services. So here's my hot take. How you diversify your landscaping services should align with your core competency, not work against it by watering it down. So if your core competency is high-end design build work, adding a lawn care division is going to work against that. It's not gonna help you. So think of diversification like digging a hole. You want to go deep with your service offering. You want to dig a deep hole. The deeper you go, the harder it is for your competitors to follow. And that's your competitive advantage. So I'll give you two examples of this. So I had a design build firm probably 7, 8, 9 years ago now, and it was called Fountainhead Gardens. My expertise was in period gardens and traditional architecture. So homeowners would hire me. It was usually for renovation work. They would hire me to design their gardens and landscapes to complement the traditional architecture of their homes. That was my expertise. So I diversified and had different revenue streams. All right, and I'll just walk you through how I did this. So first of all, I charged design and consulting fees. Most importantly, that were significantly higher than my competitors. Okay, because I wanted to set myself up as the expert. So I knew I needed to charge a much higher price for those design fees. So that was the first thing. But the main way I made money, probably 80%, 85% of revenue, was by acting as the general contractor on the construction of these landscape projects. So that was my main revenue stream. But another way I added revenue and diversified a bit was I actually designed and fabricated some of my own site furnishings and accessories that I would use on projects. So I would design in gates, and then I would design the gates, I would have them built, I would sell those, I would fabricate arbors, trellises, furniture, all sorts of different stuff. So that gave me another revenue stream. And then I was also a dealer or a distributor for a number of upscale site furnishing manufacturers. So I would spec those things into my projects and sell them. So like containers, statuary, fountains, architectural stone, all sorts of stuff. And that gave me another revenue stream as well. So that's diversifying vertically. And that was around my expertise. Now, an example of vertical diversification around a specialty would be, let's say it's a hardscaping contractor, and their core competency is masonry. If they're going to diversify, they don't want to diversify by adding, say, landscape maintenance or lawn care or irrigation. Like those things are only loosely related to their core competency, if they're related at all. But that's what the typical company would do. But if your core competency is masonry and hardscaping, you want to go deep. And there's a lot of different things you can do. So you could be building driveways. You could get into streetscapes, right? There's a lot of money there's some big projects in streetscapes. Patios, obviously. You could diversify into building retaining walls. You could probably get into outdoor kitchens. Definitely, you could be doing fire pits and fireplaces for high-end residential places. You could even get into adding other services like masonry cleaning, masonry repairs, sealing, all of these things that have to deal with masonry. You could even do expert consulting, probably some engineering work. You could even probably get into distribution and sales of some of the products that you're using. So that's what I mean by digging a deep hole and diversifying vertically. And like I said before, as you've probably seen, most companies in our industry diversify horizontally. They dig a lot of shallow holes as opposed to going deep around their core competency. You can't be good at everything. Going deep with your service offerings, number one, it positions you as the expert in your market, which then keeps you ahead of your competitors, which allows you to charge a premium price for your expertise, right? And if you're charging a premium price for your expertise, you're getting higher profit margins. And that's what all of you want. So if you're going to consider adding more services, I just encourage you to be very purposeful about it. And I wrote a whole article on this. I break it down a lot more. So I would really encourage you to read that article if you are looking to diversify. Chad, we can share that link in the show notes for everybody.
You know, this discussion makes me think about one of our clients, Josh Malik from Joshua Tree Experts. They're in Allentown, Pennsylvania. And yesterday I went back in our CRM and I looked at some of the notes from the first time that Josh and I talked. And it was pretty fun to do that. It was back in the end of 2016. And one of the notes I have is very concerned that he's going to lose his 20 pay-per-click leads through his website if he does something different.
Yep.
And now, fast forward, he's getting about 10 to 15 times as many leads through his website as he did then. So it just kind of was a little amusing to me. When we talked to Josh, he was worried because he had, they were tree experts and he wanted to start this. He had started this lawn care division and just wasn't getting it where he wanted it to be. And so that's what they came to us for a lot of help with. They were tried and true tree guys, and they wanted some help with getting into the lawn care sector because they were walking right over lawns to treat all these trees every single day, and their clients were asking for it. So I'll let him tell you how successful they've been. Here is a glimpse into the conversation between me and Josh.
Hey, so for a couple minutes, what I wanted to do is introduce you to one of our clients and personal friend of mine, Joshua Malik, who runs a really great organization up in the Allentown, Pennsylvania area. And Joshua Tree was started in about 2005. And throughout the years of being an arborist tree service, Josh decided to expand his services a little bit and offer some other things to his clients. So in 2015, they decided to launch lawn care treatment plans for their clients and pretty much just marketed to existing customers. And actually, they got in touch with us in early 2017. We've been working together. I've seen a lot of really great success. And now in early 2020, also are adding pest control to their mix of services. Josh is a great guy. He loves good stogies, going to concerts, and he's just a really great guy to work with all around, both as a client and also I'm pretty sure his people love him too. The only bad thing about Josh is that he's not an Eagles fan, which is really weird for people in this area. He's a Raiders fan, but we'll let that one slide. So Josh, how you doing today?
I'm doing excellent, Chad. Thanks for having me on and featuring myself right now. I really appreciate it.
Sure. Well, thanks for taking a few minutes. Appreciate you doing this. So we're talking today about diversifying services. We're talking about companies that are considering to add some things to their mix. And I know that you face some very specific challenges with that. So when you decided that you wanted to add services, so thinking back 5-6 years ago with adding lawn care, now with pest control as well, how do you decide when you are looking to add a service line or department like that, which one you're going to add?
Well, I think it was kind of easy for us which one. We just wanted to kind of stay within the green industry, coming from arboriculture for 28 years experience and kind of working in the same industry of being outdoor, similar equipment, products that we're using that can cross over from the PHC services that we were doing into lawn care. There were some challenges, but it kind of seemed like a no-brainer for us at the time. We had found many of our clients questioning us and looking for the services that we are now currently providing. And while we did have some decent references for them, we just found that there was a niche that we could cross-sell and kind of like diversify our portfolio as you would with a financial firm. So we didn't want to continue to just put our eggs in one basket in the arboriculture world. We wanted to start offering something that we knew that our current clients were interested in and could take advantage of. And that's how we got into offering the lawn care.
You know, from a positioning standpoint, you guys really added the right services too, because the services that you primarily provided on the properties were to maintain. And so it was an easier transition for you guys to do that because these are other maintenance services and not necessarily creative ones like design, build, and that sort of thing. So I think that was some great choices on your behalf. So what were some of the biggest challenges, you know, back with adding lawn care and adding pest control? What were a couple things that just kind of really threw you for a loop or you really had to think hard about?
We have a really good market niche here in the Valley. We have 10 certified arborists on staff, and the team that we had developed internally, structurally, we have really excellent customer service reps here, and you know, customers mean a lot to us. So we knew our challenge going in was going to be developing a team that would mimic the culture and the talent that we already have. And we knew going from an arboriculture world into a lawn care world, we needed to, again, hey, it's within the same industry, but it's definitely different talent, it's different marketing, it's a different mindset. So really getting really good key people had some challenges of itself. A lot of lawn care people, hey, they didn't want to come over into an arboriculture world, mostly when you're just launching a new product. So they were, maybe thinking there was too many challenges with it, that we would go in a very smooth direction. Switching some of the software we had to, I think, was a challenge for us. We were using a company that was really focused more on the arboriculture world, and we knew, wanting to grow lawn, that there were some other softwares out there that were available to the lawn industry people. And any software and technology nowadays, when it's as advanced as it is, it has some challenges working through that. And it really took us probably about a year to really fully understand a new program and implement our arboriculture practices and proposal ARs into that system as well.
Yeah, it's always a challenge. It's kind of like you have a give and take, and eventually you have to choose one that kind of suits most of the purposes that you're trying to succeed on. So I know that there was a challenge, just brand perception. You have a lot of recognition in the Valley there, Lehigh Valley, about being, a tree company, really reputable. And you wanted to get this message out there. And one of the things I've always appreciated with the way that you tackle marketing is you look for every opportunity that might work, and you're not afraid to try new things. And we did a lot of things together, but you also did some things, independently through other vendors or, things yourself internally to market your business. So my question to you would be, what are some of the things that you felt really helped you launch a new service line?
Well, working with you guys was a big key. And I'm not just giving the kudos to landscape leadership, but it is the truth. Finding professionals that had this knowledge in within our industry and also in marketing has been a very effective tool for us. I love really targeting current clients. Whenever we offered, we recently offered the pest control, but going back to our lawn control, at the time that we were talking about introducing a new revenue stream, we said, hey, let's target our current clients. They're the easiest ones to sell to. They already know that we provide professional care in the arboriculture world. If we can have the ability to help them understand that we have good key people here, very, very good technicians, and have we can continue the brand through the lawn care, we can make it successful. So we've done a lot of targeting of current clients. I look at marketing, like you said, there's a key to marketing that I think in every opportunity that you can do. We've done home shows, we do TV, we do radio commercials, we do targeted mailers to people. We've wrapped every single vehicle that's leaving our shop, from our chip trucks to our spray trucks to our lawn rigs to our account managers' vehicles, which is just really provided some awareness throughout our service area. So I think there's a diverse, like the services we're offering, we're also not putting all of our budget dollars into one basket when it comes to marketing. I have always felt that having a variety of different avenues to go down and capturing this audience versus this audience has always been important and very effective for us.
Yeah, I think a lot of the things that you're doing offline just complemented really well with online, the things that we worked with, all the additions that we made to the website, the video production, the photography, the blogging, all those things we've been doing over the years. And that's just a point, I'd like to point out, is that it's important as a company owner that you make sure that all of your strategy, that people understand what everybody's doing, because you want things to be really cohesive. And I've always appreciated, you just throwing ideas to us that weren't really something we were going to execute on, because we often think about things that we can do online to help support that. So that's worked out really well. So one of the challenges, you kind of alluded to it before, was you had a team of tree experts. And tree people, if you've been in the industry, you understand that tree people and lawn people are very different in some respects. And so these guys know a lot about trees. There is some crossover, but there's a lot of technical information with lawns that demands certain expertise. So how, and even with pests, as you're finding out now, how do you take your existing team of tree experts and now tree and lawn experts, and teach them this new content, this new venture that you're going out in business, so that they can have a really good working knowledge of that?
That's a great question. I think one of the key things is we had to educate our account managers. These are our folks that are meeting with existing and new clients. The one thing that is with our account managers is we knew that they had to gain the knowledge of lawn care, different diseases, insects, different grass types, weed types, different products that are used for fertilizing, pre-emergence, weed controls, herbicides, things like that. I was really fortunate to have one of those account managers that came from the lawn care industry and had about a dozen years experience. So when we first launched this, he was part of my tool belt that I was able to utilize his knowledge, and he helped train the other account managers. And what we did was we developed and introduced new employees into the industry of the lawn care that we were providing. Change is not always easy throughout a company, infrastructure and service lines and things like that. So a lot of communication throughout the company with your production people, your account managers, your office staff. I think it was really, really important, but we have definitely proven over the last couple of years that we can thrive with multiple revenue streams and service offerings.
Well, I think you guys have definitely shown signs of growth, both as a team and also when it comes to the numbers. So give our listeners some information here. So again, like I said at the beginning of this discussion, it's about 2015, no lawn care customers, wanting to do some things internally. We started in 2017. We're in 2020 now. Where are you sitting with your lawn care? How have you grown that in the last 5 years?
It's a very exciting time. When we started those 5 years ago, we didn't really push much of our marketing. When I had came in and talked to you and Chris, we were in a part of a marketing plan that we really wanted to push some growth in the lawn care industry. At that time, when I came to you guys in 2017, we had 200 customers. Through the marketing effects that we've had with your team and company and all the other marketing that we have, we're just sitting over 2,200 lawn clients at the time. So
that's great.
The last 3 years have been very exceptional for us, and that's a kudos to everybody here at Joshua Tree, because it definitely takes a team to be able to get that engine moving in the way it is, and we are experiencing some very quick, rapid, exceptional growth, and it's great. Everybody's on board. To be able to share the vision and get those people on board is really important, and for them to grasp it and continue to push every day and lead it's an exceptional thing to see.
Yeah, it's been exciting. And you know me, I always love a new challenge. And so when you came to me last fall and you said, hey, we're pushing into pest control now, I was really excited because I've worked with a company in the past for a long period of time where we did that as well. And we've had a lot of really great discussions of launching pest control. So officially, I think we started ramping up and doing some of the content last fall, but in the spring, you officially released pest control as your most newest service within, I guess it was just a few months ago. So how's that taking off so far?
It's exciting. It's really fun how that came about. I have a really good key guy that it's funny how it happened. He actually interviewed for a position that I was offering 2 years ago, and he continued to work and did work in the pest control world he's got about 17 years experience. So when I met him, he had about 15 years experience. He was looking to get into possibly a different type of business and try to do a different type of career and a profession. We've kept in contact. Unfortunately, I didn't move with him for the position I was hiring at that time, but we had kept in contact the last couple of years. And when we decided to say we wanted to move forward with pest control, I reached out to him and he was super excited. And as he had come on board with me early 2020 here, it was in February when he started with me. We didn't really launch, as you had mentioned. We were building our marketing campaign for pest control, and we didn't really launch anything up to maybe about 8 weeks ago. And it has been nothing less than phenomenal. We have over 200 new customers that are active for our pest control. we've already met our goal for the year. I wanted 200 clients with 100,000 in revenue. We're just under 100,000 in revenue, but I have no doubt that we're going to crush the revenue and crush our total customer count. It's fun to see everything come together and work so well.
Yeah. Well, there was a lot of things that happened on purpose, and there's a lot of things when you launch pest control that you definitely want to do intentionally. Just teasing some content that we have coming out. In a couple of weeks, I'm going to actually have an article that some tips that you might want to put into your strategy if you're launching pest control as a service at your company. So stay tuned for that. Josh, I just appreciate the time you took today. If you want to learn more about Joshua Tree, you can do so on their website, which is joshuatreeexperts.com. And you can check out what we've done there on the tree, the lawn, and the pest side. The website is going to get a fresh new look this summer, so stay tuned for some exciting things there. Josh, thanks so much for taking some time out of your schedule today to help our listeners understand some of the things that are involved with adding a new service line. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity, and best of luck to all those out there that can take advantage of this interview.
I hope this discussion and listening to the interview between me and Josh has really helped you start to think about how you should diversify your services in a healthy manner for your lawn or landscape company. If you'd like to talk further with us and connect with us and ask us questions, you can do that a number of ways. Feel free to go to our website. You can get in contact with us there at landscapeleadership.com. You can also connect with us on LinkedIn, and you can email us. I am chad.diller@landscapeleadership.com, and Chris is at chris.heiler, Heiler, @landscapeleadership.com. Stay tuned. We have a lot more planned for the Smarketing Talk podcast. We're going to do these episodes about twice a month, and the next episode is coming soon. If you've enjoyed this, feel free to forward this episode to one of your colleagues or industry peers. Thanks a lot for listening. Have a really great day.